what has been happening in the wrestling world. Welcome to the show, where comedy meets wrestling by fans for fans. The Two Count, always the best guests in Midwest. The Two Count, great time guaranteed because we're the best of the best. Meet Ace and JR, Top Shelf Tommy, we're about to start. Welcome to the Two Count. It's time to dig deep into the wrestling world. Welcome to the Two Count, where comedy meets wrestling by fans for fans. The Two Count.
The Two Count. The Two Count. Where comedy meets wrestling. Please comment, share, like, and start a hype train for God's sakes. And now, here are the hosts of The Two Count. Comedian John Russell, wrestling broadcaster Big Ace, and everybody's favorite heel, Top Shelf Tommy.
Good Tuesday evening, everybody. JR along with Top Shelf Tommy. If you're missing Ace, that's because he is DJing down in Rochester for the ABC event. And he'll join us along the end here if he can.
Yes, he will get here as soon as possible.
He's tricky that way. Big week. Holy cow. Bray Wyatt. That's exciting. We'll talk about that. Good Brothers coming back to WWE. I was a bit surprised by that.
A bit.
Hi, Tina. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for hopping in. And we'll talk about all of that stuff. There's two Milky Mikey. Well, you know what I mean. Good to see you, right. Mikey. And but I'm gonna say right now, we have in this kind of a first for us to have really a deathmatch specialist. And Tom, I'm going to just turn it over to you to introduce him.
Oh, thank you, JR. And this is the only time I will say thank you tonight, because everybody hold on to your seats, because this will be, I can guarantee you, one of the shows that you will come back to every once in a while to get your true fix of what the Two Count is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, not to steal any lines from what we saw last night with DX, but I want you all to know right here, right now on the Two Count, we have the one, the only, the Reverend Ricky Noren, everybody. Give it up! That's right, give it up. Ladies and gentlemen, what I need to do all to know is this is not only just a professional wrestler, a hardcore icon, and a deathmatch visionary. This is a former stand-up comedian, a former improver, and booker and promoter extraordinaire. Ricky, welcome to the Two Count.
Hello. I don't know if it's good to be here yet. We'll find out.
You'll enjoy it.
I think it's good to be here for sure.
I'm missing out on my youth group tonight for this.
Well, you know what? If they knew what was good for them, they would be tuning in tonight too.
I don't allow them to use the internet.
That's teaching them. That's one way to take care of it.
That is a way to learn them. I get that, and I understand that. But Ricky, obviously, you came out with some big news yesterday. Are you going to be part of the Patriot Network? Is this what I'm hearing? Is this what I'm seeing?
Yes, I signed a contract with Patriot Plus, and they are a brand new family-friendly streaming network that's going to show just nothing but like Christ positive. They call it Christ positive content, and I'm going to have my own show on there, a talk show, just like my buddy Tucker. And we're going to have all sorts of big guests. And I'll tell you right now, my first big guest on that show is going to be none other than Mike Liddell.
Wow.
Well, I thought you were going to say Top Shelf Tom Chilstrom, but you know what? We'll work on that. We'll get on there eventually.
I heard you're really expensive.
I'm out to be real honest with you. I'm actually pretty cheap in comparison to most guests that you could have. So we'll talk later about that. But obviously,
in fact, Ricky, we're trying to trade Tom. Trying to find
Oh.
somebody to trade him to.
Okay, we'll trade. Yeah.
Yeah, so
gotta-
I guess if you know anybody that is willing to pay me more than these a-holes, sorry, I know you're a reverend and I need to watch my language, so I'm going to be as good as
Yes.
possible tonight. So I only said a-holes. You can fill in the blanks.
I don't even like the word hole. Can you just say a?
Yeah, these bunch of A's over here. Yeah, for sure.
There we
Yeah,
go.
JVR over here and the absentee ace are definitely A's for sure.
Not the baseball team.
No, they're real terrible. Worse than these two, obviously, which is kind of a shock to be real honest.
So I'm curious, Reverend, where did you get your ecclesiastical credentials?
From God.
Beautiful. It's the only place to get them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the whole story. I guess this all started as I grew up in the church, and God came back into my life after I wrestled a death match last year, and I had consumed so much of the innards of light tubes. They call it spooky dust. That's the insider term for all the marks. I consumed so much that I was basically given only 6 months to live, and at that point I was healed by God, and that's when from there I went on my mission to do what I do now.
Beautiful.
That's great to hear. So give us a little bit of the transformation, because for those people who aren't in the know, you are now the Reverend Ricky Noren, but you used to be the Renaissance Ricky Noren, an artiste, a
Yes.
man, not necessarily of the people, but maybe for the people. So obviously the transformation happened. Where exactly did you find that you couldn't be the Renaissance anymore?
I just completed the painting. I still wonder that myself, because I still feel like that person is inside me, because that's how it all started in this professional wrestling deal. I still consider myself an artist. I am now God's artist, though, and I paint with biblical metaphors, I guess. I don't know. I often wonder what my life would be like if I was still that person today. But I think I'd probably be dead by now or something, because I was on a bad path. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Obviously, like all wrestlers, you were trained, but at what point did you say to yourself, I think this deathmatch stuff is for me?
Well, I first tried deathmatch wrestling when I got put on a tournament in ICW Milwaukee for first-time deathmatch wrestlers. And honestly, when I tried it out, I was amazed by the amount of creativity involved with it. I was probably also seduced by the devil. But now looking back, I know that it's a part of God's will and God's plan for me to get involved with that. Because I will say I have a great brain for deathmatch wrestling, and I'm very good at hurting people. I don't want to hurt people, but if it's willed from God that I need to hurt somebody, like what's going to happen on Thursday with Lore, I'll do it.
Speaking of that, now you have a big match coming up Thursday up in Fargo against Heavy Metal Lore. Tell us a little bit about how this transpired.
Okay, so I need to clear everything up, because so here's the thing. Ever since I returned to Time Bomb Pro, I've been undefeated. They've been saying that Deicide beat me at the aquarium. That never happened, because technically I couldn't lose there, because I was entering the Lion's Den as a Christian. And any loss there is some kind of satanic illusion. So from there,
Amen. Amen.
The entire company, I've been trying to save them, and these nasty people in Fargo need the word of God. They need to hear me. And then what happened from Time Bomb decided to put me in the ring against an anime enthusiast, a satanic ninja of sorts, and Kid Bandit. And I thought to myself, it would maybe this isn't a situation where I need to get my hands dirty. Maybe I should use somebody else who's a little bigger than me to take care of the work for me because I'm a church. I don't pay taxes, so I have a lot of extra money that I could use to pay people off to do things for me. A lot of my politician friends do that. So I talked to Heavy Metal Lore and I said, I will give you a great sum if you can do this match for me and take care of Kid Bandit. Unfortunately, and it's not because of any fault of my own, Lore lost. And I was very upset about it. And then Lore decided to take things in his own hands and says he wants to do a death match now. A 4 corners of pain death match. So all corners of this match will have pain in it. So I accepted.
So we have a first time chat, and they obviously are understanding what's happening on Thursday. Cody Hewitt 95, thank you for joining the chat. We also want to make sure your question is answered here. He wants to know, can't wait to see what weapons you have made for your 4 corners of pain death match against Lore. Can you give us a little preview of Thursday? What do you have prepared for Heavy Metal Lore?
Oh, I don't want to give it away. I can't do too much because a lot of it depends on how I feel that day because a lot of weapons I'd like to make myself because I've been to a lot of places where the weapons were good. I've been to a lot of places where the weapons are great. But for me, as a man of God, a holy man, I need to make sure that every weapon that I use in this match is, prayed over, ordained. I need to basically bless it to make sure that they don't get used against me. Even if it's anything from a steel chair, I will pray over that steel chair. I will pour holy water onto it, blop, blop, blop. And because I don't want to go into this match and all of a sudden the tables won't break for me because they've been possessed by demons that Lore sent into them with his black metal. But I will say there will be a lot of barbed wire.
Oh, that's what we love to hear. So, not to change gears too much, but we are coming off of a pay-per-view called Extreme Rules, and you are a man who knows not only deathmatch, you also know hardcore. And one of the things that I absolutely love about you is that you did produce a few shows, live pro wrestling over at whatever theater it was in Northeast Minneapolis, and you had a hardcore match there a time or two for sure. What did you think? What do you think when you hear Extreme Rules as a man who's done the death match in the hardcore?
There's no such thing as extreme rules because once you go extreme, there are no rules.
Oh,
I like that philosophy.
Succinct and perfect.
Yes. And that's why I am a reverend in this lion's den trying to save people because we need rules in our life. We need control. God has written everything out in this little old book called the Bible and laid out all of these rules that we need to follow. And I want to make sure that people know these rules. Okay. And Extreme Rules, okay, I guess I see what they're doing. But I feel like, when did WWE stop becoming family friendly? They said this is ridiculous.
So do you want to go back to the days of Hulkamania and taking your pills and saying taking your vitamins?
Vitamins. Don't say pills, you jackass.
Not taking pills, taking your vitamins and saying your prayers. You want to go back to a time like that? Is that what I'm hearing?
I feel like a lot of the wrestling promoters out there, I think we benefit from going back to the past. I wish the AWA was still around, and I wish Vern Gagne was still wrestling.
Oh yes.
Don't get people started in our chat about Vern Gagne. This is going to go down a path you don't want to hear. So,
oh really? I'm a Gagne guy.
Well,
we have a lot of Vern Gagne fans that happen to watch the show. It just all depends on whether they show up or not.
Well, and I also think that they're fans of Vern Gagne well after the AWA, if you will. So there's a few things to get said about retirement home Vern Gagne that sometimes shouldn't be said. So I just want to put that out there and just say, we'll move past it real quick before they all get out here. Those
I would say this, and Ricky, you may be familiar with this type of mentality. A lot of times what happens with these folks is, Tom is right. They bring up the past and some of the bad things about Vern. But one of the good things that they do is they sort of superimpose Vern on some things that maybe Vern didn't do that were superb in the wrestling business. So, for example, we had last week somebody say, you remember when Vern body slammed Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3? And I'm like, you know what? I mean, he didn't, but I get it. I understand it because that would be something that Vern would have done.
No, that's more of a Harley Race thing.
Well, you know what? You're absolutely right.
See, I don't know. Sometimes I wish that our grandfather of wrestling here was Harley Race. You know,
Yeah.
Imagine the AWA if the promoter was Harley Race.
Boy,
It'd probably still be around because he would have not to speak ill of people per se, you know, or to say blasphemous words. So excuse me, Reverend, when I say this, but he probably would have gone to New York, kicked Vince's ass for trying to steal any of his talent. I'm just saying. I'm just going to leave that at that. And again, excuse my language, Reverend.
Oh, you're forgiven. You've heard that story that Ric Flair told about riding in a car with Harley Race down to St. Louis, and he was going 90 miles an hour, and he had a couple guns on the dash. I'm just picturing that man going over to New York there and getting things done.
You probably would have had Hulkamania running wild in Minneapolis. You would have had Mean Gene sticking around his hometown. You would have had the Rockers being more than just a flash in the pan champion there in WWE. That's for sure. You probably would have had them. You know what? Who knows what the AWA would have been if Harley Race was the booker and the promoter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
gotta tell you, I grew up down in Des Moines, and down there it was Central States during the territory days, and I watched Harley Race every Saturday on my television. So I am a huge Harley Race fan.
Well, and also too, he was kind of almost the baddest man on the planet at the time because he was one of the few guys who had visible tattoos, you know, and didn't have a problem with showing them. And boy, oh boy, I mean, some of the stories you hear about him and even Haku back in the day, and I mean, those were some tough guys right there. So, Ricky, I guess if you had a choice between Harley Race and Haku, if you could go back into their prime and have a hardcore or even just a regular match or death match or whatever, which one of those two would you pick? Since there are two of the guys we know are the toughest SOBs in wrestling.
Ooh, that's a tough one. There's a side of me that kind of would like to go over to go work for Baba and have a match with Harley Race over there, but a Stan Hansen Terry Funk style match where I just choke him out with a belt. But that's the former me. That's sinful Ricky. Haku, he's Haku. He'll probably bite off my ear or my nose. I honestly feel like either match would cause a lot of damage. But any other day, I feel romantic towards All Japan, so I think I'd go for Harley Race.
See, and that's something you don't normally hear from a modern wrestler or grappler or whatever you want to be called. I want to make sure I don't, you know, mispronounce what your title might be and stuff as far as all that stuff goes. But you don't normally hear anybody be nostalgic for All Japan, so that's definitely a different answer than what I was expecting.
Oh, you should talk to Damon Spriggs sometime.
You know what? I can't get over the fact that he still goes with his real name of Spriggs because it sounds like sprinkles, and I can't take a guy like that serious at all. So I've seen plenty of his matches. I know that he is definitely doing the hardcore and the deathmatch stuff, and I know that he seems to be loving it, but I cannot take a guy whose name is Damon Spriggs serious. And this is coming from a guy whose name is Tom Chilstrom. Like, I feel like that's the most stage name you can come up with in the upper Midwest, but it's the real name.
That's the real name. You know, Ricky Noren's my real name.
So, and you know what? Let me bring that up too. So again, I know you going way back. I've been doing stand-up for 10 years. And one of the first things I remember is good old Willie's back in the day. And maybe you want to consider yourself a sinner, maybe not. But one of the very first things I remember from the good old Willie's days was a younger Ricky Noren doing some high level impressions of not only local comedians. I think you have one of the best, Brandon Reynoso's, which maybe that's a little inside baseball for most people, but
Hey,
spot
everybody.
on. But you also had one of the absolute best. And welcome Luke Raven, by the way. This is a guy you guys should be checking out down there at Madhouse's, Ricky Noren right here, because Lord knows if you guys need hardcore or deathmatch, this is your guy right here. But also some of the best impressions with Macho Man, Nature Boy, Hulk Hogan. I mean, best wrestling impressions. So again, 10 years ago, can you take me back? Can you give me some of those impressions that I just miss so much?
Oh, 10 years ago doing comedy. Let me rub some of the old grime back on my face. All right, here we go.
Nostalgia.
Everyone. Before I was saved, I used to do stand-up. We had a place that was called Willie's in Coon Rapids. And one night, it was midnight. I was a couple grain belt premiums in, because that's what I did back in the day. I'm a better person now. But I went on stage and I did impressions, and I kept going, and everybody in the audience would shout out a name like Chris Maddock, and I do Chris Maddock. And then some wrestlers came up, and before I knew it, it was on YouTube and living in infamy ever since. It might have been my first wrestling promo. I don't know.
Ooh, it might have been. You're not wrong.
A spiritual successor, maybe.
All right. So no impressions tonight. We can't maybe even get like a little Macho Man out of you.
We might be able to get something here in a bit. You know, I haven't talked to my old friend Jesse in a while.
He's got to feel it. He's got to feel it.
All right. All right. So I want to bring up something more from the past as well. So I decided to tweet it out a couple of weeks ago. AEW now has a faction, if you will, called The Firm. And now I don't mean to be a mark here or anybody, but I got a Firm shirt on here. And good old right over here, this used to be the Renaissance Ricky Noren. So our man here might be looking at something of a copyright or gimmick infringement here. What do you think of The Firm in AEW when The Firm used to run Twin Cities independent wrestling?
Well, I mean, what do they call it? Parallel thinking or parallel thoughts. You know, when The Firm is a name, it gets used a bit. There's a gym called The Firm, and like AEW, I'm sure they thought like, oh, rich lawyery stuff. Let's take The Firm. But we're the ones that started the legacy of that in wrestling. We were just three guys just trying to make sure we all won our matches, and it worked. And I think that's really a couple of guys I really miss, like ESQ and Riley Jackson. I remember there was one night where we went and we were put together for a trios match, and before that match, we beat up two members of our opposing team. So we only had to face one person, and it was brilliant. And that's just how you do it.
See, now I love it because of the fact that, one, I still have this shirt, and this is the original shirt. This is before Valentine Bravo joined The Firm.
That's Valentine Bravo.
Valentine, excuse me. Yes. But also when we were down at the first wrestling show at Mall America, I'm marking out because I saw ESQ's wife wearing this shirt, and I had to actually go over and talk to her because I'm like, the last time I saw this shirt was literally in my closet. So I asked her like who she was first of all, and then found out that ESQ was on that show for apparently a one-off performance. And I'm not trying to put pressure on you or Eric Cannon or whoever, but when do you think we're going to be finally able to see the Reverend Ricky Noren in First Wrestling? Because I would love to see it.
Oh, I don't know. It's all up to the Lord. What does God have for my path? Because we'll see. Because first of all, like, I don't know, there might be a spot after what happens to Laura on Thursday. We don't know. If God asks me to smite him, that might happen. I don't want to, but like I said, I don't like to make things happen. I let God make things happen.
You're kind of merely the instrument, yeah?
I am the instrument. I am the oboe of the Lord.
There you go.
I'm sorry, JR, you got to ask a question. I'm so thrown by the oboe of the Lord.
Boy, the oboe of the Lord makes perfect sense. Hard to play. Sounds great when somebody knows what they're doing with it. Makes perfect sense to me.
God blows through me. God
Yeah.
blows me, and I expel what God has put in me.
I don't even know why Tom is laughing. It makes perfect sense to me.
This is very, it's very upsetting because I come on the show as a Christian man to share my life, the gospel, and I'm just getting laughed at.
No, it's not laughing at you. I'm trying to laugh with you. I apologize for my...
Ricky, he does this with every guest we have. He
I
tries to
apologize.
start shit and he insults people, and it's very... We try to talk with him about it every single week, and he just... If he could only take one hint from you and the good that you're doing in the ring and with your what's the word? Your ministry.
Yes.
And he won't do it. He won't do it.
You know what happens to people when they get in the way of my ministry and my love of God? I give them the love of God. Well, I kick their A. There's a little thing called a gusset plate that I might use. If God tells me to put a gusset plate in your face, I will.
Well, I hope that's not me because I don't have many money makers, and my face might be one of them still. So please, no gusset plate for me in the forehead. I apologize for my outburst there. It was very uncouth, and it was uncalled for.
Can you not say couth? It sounds like another word, and I don't like it.
Sorry, it was uncalled for. We'll just say it that way.
Tina sees you backpedaling. For God's sakes, Tom.
Hey, for gosh sakes, don't use the Lord's name in vain in front of the Reverend.
It wasn't in vain.
Amen,
well, I mean, how else do you want to say it?
I said it for God's sake.
I have to apologize here. I pulled a rib muscle laughing so hard, and so that is, I think, the Lord spiting me for laughing so hard. So there you go. I apologize. I'm going to be holding my rib like this the rest of the time.
Yes, be careful because God also likes to give people diarrhea.
That's hopefully not me, but
that's why you shouldn't swear.
I'm really watching my words tonight because normally I would be swearing up a storm. The chat knows full well how much I can swear. And Cody Hewitt is looking forward to maybe seeing gusset plate lore, which might be in the new nickname for heavy metal. So, not to keep going back to your past, but you have a very deep record when it comes to Twin Cities, Midwest, Minnesota wrestling. And maybe people don't know, again, as much as they should, but I'm here to inform them. So it is now called Higher Ground Wrestling. It used to be Showtime Wrestling, and they have a championship called the Future Clash Champion. And Ricky Noren here was the first ever Future Clash Champion of Showtime when he was part of the firm. And the man did everything in his power to not only promote the title as best as he could, but they gave him a chintzy trophy that broke nearly every time you went to the ring.
Oh.
And never a belt. And then eventually they, and again, excuse my language, but they eventually screwed you out of the title completely, if I remember correctly. Is that not... I believe that's kind of close to what happened there, right?
Yeah, it was just a little like, surprise match. Here comes Brandon Gore, whatever.
Of course, it's Brandon Gore. The worst tattoos in wrestling, right there.
The worst tattoos, and tattoos are a sin, technically.
If you're the worst of the worst, that means you're the double worst, and that means you're basically Satan. So
you are a sin sandwich. 2 pieces of sin and tattoos right in the middle.
Right. So not only that, but I found out from, again, former guest on the show, Big Cat Bill Williams, the revolutionary Bill Williams, that if he was going to be in the Rumble match, if you will, at First Wrestling, he was going to be wearing one of the good old Renaissance. What was it? The Renaissance or Renaissance Revolution?
Renaissance Revolution.
He was going to be wearing one of those shirts in homage of you as well, because again, first ever MAW champions, Revolutionary Bill Williams and the Renaissance Ricky Noren. So
Yes.
a 2-time first ever champion. And yet we had to have you on this show to get your name further out there than it should already be. I think this is a travesty. This is a sham. This is a mockery, a Travis sham mockery, if you will.
That's a real word.
That Ricky Noren is not booked not only in the Twin Cities, but across the Midwest and across the nation, because you go everywhere you can. You've been to Milwaukee, you've been to Fargo. I mean, and you're basically carrying those markets, if we really have to be honest with you.
Florida, don't forget that one.
Oh, that's right. You have been to Florida, haven't you?
Yep.
I mean, I don't say lucky because it's Florida still, but good for you. That's making the distance. That's making the trip.
That was an interesting day because I will tell you this, the sunburn that I had was worse than the 6 panes of glass.
Ooh.
For the record.
Oh, still feeling it. Ooh, still feeling that rib. Oh man, I'm not even in the ring with you, and I got all these injuries already. Oh, sorry, Ricky.
I have that effect on people.
So who did you wrestle with down in Florida? What was the promotion down there?
That was for GCW. That was
Wow.
me, Oren Veit, and Damon Spriggs on the triple threat. 6 panes of glass, a knife board, and a bunch of gussets. I remember early on in the match that I can't remember who did who, but there was a gusset plate in my chest and a gusset plate in my back, and I was just gushing gooey old blood. Hot Florida sun.
Aside from the uncomfortable sunburn, what was it like to work for GCW?
It was interesting, because we had to work hard to get on the show.
Yeah.
Met most of the people. Never quite got the promoter, but that happens. Yeah, it was just a strange the whole WrestleMania weekend collective and the independent showcase. It's just a constant barrage of wrestling, and we would be at shows because we'd hang out collective, then go to the IWTV thing, which was in an air-conditioned building, which is much more comfortable. But it's still hard to watch wrestling from like 10 a.m. to 2 in the morning every day when you're trying to get opportunities. But I don't regret it. It was good. It was a great experience. I got to meet, Nick Gage and Effie and all these other people, big deathmatch names. Met Pondo for the first time. It's really like a place I would love to extend my ministry. There's a lot of people that are just hungry for Christ, and you can tell. A deathmatch show like that. It was all death matches on that show with Planet Death. Place that I would just love to just, give people little my pamphlets. Love to hand out my pamphlets and show them the love that they just need.
I love that.
Very, very cool. Obviously, when we see comments from Cody here too, saying that he's hoping to see you on the GCW show next month in Milwaukee, anything we can do, which as much as I hate it, we have very limited exposure to some markets. But if we can get you on that GCW show in Milwaukee next month, man, I will do everything in my power to do so.
I'm always ready. It's all up to them, the higher ups, because if the fans demand it, if the people feel the love of Christ and they want an ordained minister on their show, so be it. Because I'm always ready for the challenge. I'm looking for a bigger platform, honestly, right now. I'm ready to go to the New Yorks and the LAs and everywhere else.
Well, and I've said that not only about yourself, about you and several other people that you went to the academy with, like whether it be a Riley or a JDX or a Joss C or whoever, really. I mean, there's so many good talented performers here in the Twin Cities area. I believe that many of you need to get out there and get more exposure nationally, because quite simply heck, we've had the System on here as well. He speaks very highly of you every time I see him as well. So I'm hoping to get you to another level, because I think not only regionally have you been successful and have done everything you need to do, but I need to make sure your ministry goes national at the very least.
Yes. National, then international.
Well, I hope so. I genuinely hope so.
So I have a question. So as the Reverend, do you have entrance music that you're using?
Yes. When I got back into the ministry, I was reminded of a lot of great songs that I enjoy, and I really enjoy "My Sacrifice" by Creed, and a lot of people like to talk dirty words about it. And I always make sure that whenever I'm at Time Bomb Pro, that song gets played to its full extent before I enter the ring. And the people, they don't like that, but I know that's not really them. That's just the demons hopping around, pulling on their rib cage, like what happened to Tom here.
Yeah,
they're still feeling it.
Yeah. The demons don't like good music, good Christian music like that. Yeah, and I'll walk out and they'll throw drinks at me, and it's just. But I don't care. Because I love bands like Creed. I don't know what happened at Higher Ground, but they played this song where this guy kept saying, "I love you, Jesus Christ." And I asked who it was, and they said it's Neutral Milk Hotel. And I'm like, oh, that sounds funny, but I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't tell the promoter what I say. Like, I don't care what the music is, because whatever you give me, I'll roll with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just from the moment I walk out there, they know who I am. I don't need any insane butt rock or some song that a lot of wrestlers, they'll be in the car with you and they'll say like, "Oh, which song should I pick? Number 1 or number 2 or number 3?" And each song has an intro that's a minute long, and it's way too long, and you're like, "Why are you doing this? Nobody's gonna care, and the venue's gonna have a terrible sound system, so no one's gonna hear it." Forget it. Because I will walk out in that crowd and I will look every person in the eye and tell them God loves them. And they will throw their drink at me and I won't care.
Well, and I have seen that it doesn't matter to you, because I was there in person when you took on Heavy Metal Lore for the Higher Ground Championship there in St. Paul Park at Shane Black's dad's bar, which, all these heathens over there drinking their booze and saying their words. And unfortunately, they basically just played your music and you came out. It wasn't the main event like it was supposed to be. So they quickly changed it and rolled with it. And you did one heck of a job. Again, excuse my language there, to go after Laura and to spread your word. And I felt like it was so rude of so many of these people to not give you a chance just to say your words, to offer them the grace of the Lord, if you will.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm walking out handing out pamphlets, and there's this guy with the Danhausen t-shirt, and I'm like, don't wear that, because those objects have power, because Danhausen is a demon. I mean, Ouija boards have demons in them, and I'm telling them, don't do that. Maybe you just wear a potato sack instead. But no, they won't listen. All these drunk people, I'm trying to pray for them, and they're just it's so upsetting. And that was what a chaotic match when you're in that environment and your music gets played early, and everything you plan goes out the window, and you just got to go. You fight. You go out there and you fight lore, and because of all the satanic, demonic wind blowing around and all sorts of, I didn't end up winning the match, and that's not my fault, because I'd never lost yet as the Reverend. The only time that may happen is because God wills it, and there's too many demons, and there were too many demons at that venue because it's a bar.
That's true. And I
It'll
went
be
inside
different.
to try and get a drink, and it was.
It'll be different on Thursday, though, because it's the sanctuary in Fargo that you're going to be at.
Yes, it's in a church, and I plant my seed in that church, and I will spread that seed across everyone's face in that venue. I will show them the love of God. I will spray the love of God all over them, and they will love it. They will enjoy it, and they might even taste it.
Mm. Have you worked Fargo before?
Yes, that's my main territory right now, brother. That's my
It
main
is.
Fargo Grand Forks. In fact, was it a year ago? I wrestled Madman Pondo in Grand Forks at Oyata Records.
Very nice.
That was an experience.
So what are the crowds like in Grand Forks when you wrestle up there?
Oh, they are a bunch of demonic maniacs who love heavy metal and they love the blood. And they do not like a good Christian man like me. So when I walk out, they're angry and they're riled up. And Oyata Records there is also a hot dog shop. So they will throw their hot dogs at me, and their hot dogs will often have like other things on them. Like they have a hot dog, they have a poutine hot dog.
Interesting.
And they'll throw gravy at me.
Well, at least they're not throwing potatoes and sugar beets at you.
Oh, sugar beets. That's the only thing you see when you're driving up the Grand Forks. That's the thing. Is there's giant sugar beet plants, and it's not good at all.
No, you're right.
Like garbage once they process them.
Once you get past Fargo, I don't know if there's anything really good. Mostly because I got a speeding ticket going up to Cavalier, North Dakota before, which is 13 miles from the Canadian border.
Why would you speed to go there, though? You would take your time.
It was for my cousin's wedding, and if you had to drive that freeway in the middle of winter, you would speed too, because it's bad enough when there's actual vegetation there. When there's no vegetation, give me a break. Give me 100% of a break.
Wow. All I can tell you is I used to live up in Fargo, Reverend, and I know from my experience that, and Tom is right, once you get past Harwood, it's all downhill. But I remember a terrible windstorm when I had to drive from Grand Forks to Thief River Falls and County Road the whole way, and there was no snow, and it looked like I was driving on the moon. But it's crazy up there. I would say there's nothing to go once you leave Fargo, but there is a Tim Hortons at Grand Forks. So
I did not know that. They never tell me these things.
It should be right on the map, I would think. I mean,
I just remember when I was taken out to eat at a place called Joe's Diner, and it was on the Minnesota side of Grand Forks, and they had deep fried French toast, and it looked like a sponge, like an old dish room sponge that was ripped apart.
Ugh.
Wait, hold on. Did you say deep fried French toast?
Yes.
I mean, French toast is kind of already fried. I don't know why you would need to deep fry it, but
somebody had the great idea.
It's probably not double fried. It's probably dipped in eggs and then put in the fryer.
Probably true. That's probably true.
You can't have a twice baked potato. You can't have a twice double fried fucking French toast. Pardon my language, French toast.
Double, what was it? Refried beans, right? So they're fried.
Exactly.
They're fried again. So technically you can. But I'm spouting off of the mouth. So sorry, I've been talking to Luke Raven in private chat, by the way. If anybody's interested, Luke Raven will be our host or our guest next Tuesday to promote the Madhouse show on the 22nd. So I've literally been just talking with him. So sorry about that, guys. I apologize. I'm trying to pull double duty here. And normally we got the third host. Ace not being here means he's also slacking off, if everybody's wondering.
So let me ask you something now, Reverend. I know in the past when you were the Renaissance that you had a really awesome concept, I thought, where you did wrestling and comedy and combined them together up here in the Twin Cities. Have you thought about doing that again? Because it's a super interesting concept, and I've heard that there's a promotion that does it in Colorado and it's successful.
Yes, the old Renaissance Review. We had a successful run. We ran at a couple of venues, and Tom was on one, the Referee of the Year Awards.
That was one of my favorite shows of all time. This is not me, shooting smoke up the old arse there, if you will. Genuinely, that was one of my favorite shows because I have to look at the referees dead in their face. Our old friend Clark Feldman was one of them, and tell them that they all sucked. Because that's the thing. I've been a bouncer at a bar, so I know full well that technically a bouncer at a bar and refereeing in wrestling is basically kind of the same because you are, if you will, the hall monitors of the modern era. You have to control what's happening in either the ring or the bar or wherever. You're not the good guy. You're not necessarily the bad guy. You are the control guy. And that was so much fun for me because, I mean, again, having James Dart in there and Clark, and I think a couple of those other yahoos and stuff like that were there. And at Honey in Northeast, that was a heck of a venue back in the day.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
And I do remember one great show, the Roast of Darren Corbin.
Oh, that show. That Scourge, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't mean to promote him, but
no, Darren's I would love to have him on my ministry. He's wonderful.
He really is.
Once I take out Laura, maybe he'll come too. Because him and Laura are such good buddies. But I can tell Darren doesn't like the metal, and he's uncomfortable by it. Laura makes him wear the same shorts he does when they tag together.
Yeah, no kidding. That's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Don't really like the look.
It's not fashionable. Imagine Laura wearing like with me, a cowboy hat and a nice bow tie and a suit. We would look so sharp. So sharp.
He would. That nice long hair of his pulled back into a nice appropriate braid, maybe. Or cut it off.
Let's cut it off and give him a good old fashioned crew cut. Something you can set your watch to, like Johnny United's.
You know what? Amen on that one. Good old crew cuts. I mean, don't sorry, this way over here. Don't get JR started on that, Mr. Hippie over here. Cut your hair.
Whatever.
Oh, now it's whatever. Okay. Fair enough.
Well, if you don't want to cut your hair, you can wear they got wigs. Not all wigs are long hair. You can get a short hair wig. You can get a pixie cut.
Absolutely.
Ooh. Jared would look fancy with a pixie cut, that's for sure.
The biggest problem for me is that the front part is going away, and I just kind of want to hold on to the back part.
Well, it just means there's more business up in the front, and you're going to get more done.
There you go. There you go. Nothing in my face. No more.
Very good. So, Ricky, we know we only have you for about the first hour or so. So, we got about 12 minutes or so left, it looks like, here in the first hour of the show. So, we're going to transition over to our kind of rapid fire / kind of out there questions. So, we're going to hit you up with some stuff that's not necessarily wrestling based or comedy based, but kind of just some random questions here and there. And like I said, hopefully, maybe we can get Ace here at the very end of the hour to be able to do the Tom game. But so we'll just transition over here. So I want to ask you first off, now obviously you said you didn't necessarily worry about what your interest music is, but what was your favorite song back in high school?
Oh, high school. I used to love listening to the Ramones. And they had a song called Chainsaw, which is about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I like that a lot. So I'd say probably that or Miss Something by Linkin Park.
Okay. I haven't heard that one before, so that's nice. That's impressive,
Beautiful.
Especially considering you're about my age and you listen to the Ramones in high school. Amen, brother.
Yeah. Reverend, what is your favorite post-match meal?
Ooh. If you bleed, you earn Taco Bell. So I'd say that.
Very nice.
I don't think anybody's ever said that you earn Taco Bell. So that's, again, another good point. So you've wrestled in plenty of different locations, different states, whatever. What's been the best venue for you so far?
There's been a few. The Minsky Theater that we ran for the live pro wrestling show was fantastic. Oh, it was beautiful. I've always been romantic for the La Pica Lounge. It's like a CBGB's of pro wrestling. It's a little dirty dive, but has a lot of charm to it.
Very nice.
What is the most obscure instrument you've been pummeled with in a death match?
Ooh. Let me think here. You know, I might have to say, because I haven't seen it before, but it's kind of regular items. But when I did the Insane 8 a few years back, and I had a match Slack, there was a giant garbage can full of bottle caps. It was completely full of bottle caps.
Ooh.
And when I was in a prone position, Slack took the can, poured all the bottle caps on me, and beat me over the head with the garbage can, and then choked me out with a plastic bag.
Damn.
Wow. So this is one of my favorite things that's ever happened, but came up with this poster. What if Hulk Hogan's Pastamania had survived? What do you think would have happened?
It would have started the fast casual movement. There would be no Chipotle. No. You get your little card paper bowl. You'd be DoorDashing Pastamania right now because you know your order because you've been eating Pastamania since you were in high school. You could get carnitas.
Brother.
I bet they'd have carnitas at Pastamania. Fusion.
Well, heck, I think you're starting something right there.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. If you were to poll, let's say any three wrestlers that are alive and working today in any promotion, they could be indie, they could be local, they could be national, to join your ministry, who do you think those three might be?
Let me think here. I would say this is a tough one. There's a lot of people I feel would be beneficial on my side. Darren Corbin, I think would be a great church treasurer. Who else? Omos, I think would be really great on my worship team.
Ooh.
And from there, I guess I would say we could have Rina Yamashita do maybe an international ministry or something over in Japan.
Very nice.
That might be fun, right? Mm-hmm.
I like it. So, of all of the death matches that you've had, who's been your favorite opponent so far?
Oh, that's tough. I will say that Oren Vite's always been a great opponent, a great adversary, despite the fact that I've yet to beat him. But that's mostly because that was before I was Christian. I haven't wrestled Oren Vite since I became a holy man. My match with Schlack was a lot of fun. My match with Madman Pondo was a lot of fun. Those are really the ones that pop. I really like. Neil Diamond Cutter's a lot of fun too.
I will have to look him up.
Have you ever been injured due to wrestling and had to be on the shelf for any amount of time?
Nothing too long. The worst was my left elbow had a couple cases of bursitis, and my elbow got swollen to the size of a baseball, and I had to have it drained twice, and I missed shows because of that. Because you can't bump on an elbow that's full of goo, and it's incredibly painful too. I've had a couple concussions, but I had space in between shows to where I didn't have to cancel bookings. My elbow got really let's see if we can do it right. That was the match back in May against Deicide. We had 2 car windshields, and Deicide jumped off a bar stool or bar table and gave me a cannonball, and I fell through the windshield, which was set up on 6 steel chairs. And I went through it, and I don't normally wear elbow pads. Maybe I should, but I noticed immediately that I could feel it, like, oh, there's something there. Then afterwards, went downstairs to get myself cleaned up, and then someone said, "Oh, what was it? Oh, it was Casanova Valentine who said, 'Oh, you got a big one here.'" And I said, "Oh, it's super glue." And he's like, "Nah, super glue's not going to help that." And then I looked at it, and I just saw this giant chasm of it wasn't profusely bleeding, but it was clearly like ripped apart. But I was able to do it without going to the ER. Just wrapped it up in gauze and changed the gauze out every day. Put plenty of medicated stuff on it, and now I have a scar that grosses people out.
I mean, amen for that. Is there any advice you would give to anybody who's looking to maybe go this route? A wrestler currently who's maybe looking to even get into hardcore, or maybe even eventually all the way to deathmatch. Is there any advice you have for them?
Just make sure when you do it with good people. Don't ever wrestle jabronis doing hardcore, because it's bad and you might get sliced real bad. Do it with people who know what they're doing. If you're gonna dive into sin like that, make sure you sin the right way, I guess.
Are you ever open like your elbow? Are you when you go into this match with Laura? Are you afraid that that's going to open back up again?
Yeah, there's always a risk of something getting sliced again, but the human body is very resilient and scar tissue is very tough. So usually what I find happens with matches, if anything really gross happens, it's always in a new spot for some reason. It's kind of weird.
Nice. And this is going to be my final question. I'll give it over to JR if he has one more too. What is your favorite drink? I'm not necessarily saying alcoholic, but what is your favorite drink that you partake in?
Oh, it's Gatorade Lemon Lime Zero. It's so delicious.
Nice.
All right, here's my last question. Since you've been wrestling, have you gone out and done comedy again? I'm curious about that, because I always thought you were very funny.
Oh, thank you. I tried a couple open mics over the past few years, and I have a couple shows coming up at Huge Theater towards the end of the month. So that's going to be an interesting test, because I do miss the performing aspect of that. It's nice to perform and not have to be broken into pieces every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, obviously, I saw you at House of Comedy's Funniest Person with a Day Job. That was the last time I saw you do stand up. Still very funny to me. I know you did in advance, but I appreciate every time I get to see you up on stage again. One, for nostalgia reasons. Also, it's a buddy of mine who's doing something that I've seen them do before, so I know you can do it. But give us a little bit more about those shows at Huge Theater at the end of the month, by the way, too. I want to make sure we have those well promoted.
Oh, yes. Sundays Improv a Go-Go. I have to double check. I switched the dates, so I believe it's the second to last Sunday is my first show, and then the first 2 Sundays in November. The show starts at 8 o'clock at Huge Theater. And like I said, I'm part of the Improv a Go-Go block, so I'm performing with 3 other improv groups. And this show is going to be something, it's a very experimental, but very fun. The spirit of my Renaissance review shows will be alive with that, and it might even be a testing ground for some future shows like that.
Heck yes. And obviously, since we're coming to the close of the first hour here, why don't you give us a rundown of your social media? Where can we find Ricky Noren online?
You can find me at Ricky Noren on Instagram and Twitter. You type in Ricky Noren on YouTube, you'll find all my stuff. My YouTube channel has all of my promos and matches and stuff, and you ever want to dive into the long history of Ricky and wrestling, that's a good place to go.
All right, very nice. Obviously, you guys can find him this Thursday at Time Bomb Pro Wrestling Sanctuary Event Center in Fargo, North Dakota. This is an anniversary show for Time Bomb Pro as well, so you guys want to make sure you get your tickets. He is facing off against Heavy Metal Lore. They're going to have a lot of great guests and I guess, if you will, special attractions as far as it goes to wrestling. So if you're in the Fargo area or anywhere in the upper Midwest and you can make it out to Fargo in the Sanctuary Event Center on a Thursday, October 13th, make sure you do that. Ricky, my old friend, thank you so much for being here. We're going to definitely have you back again because I want to make sure we play the Tom game with Ace here as well. I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you down the road. I hope to make one of those shows at Huge as well. And again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'll be praying for you both. Always a pleasure to share the love of God with people.
Continued success, Ricky. Thanks so much, man. Have a great night, and God be with you in Fargo.
Thank you.
Take care. There he is, Ricky Noren, ladies and gentlemen. The Reverend Ricky. That was awesome. You know, I got to tell you, I always thought, and I'm glad that you brought up him doing the impersonations. I wish we could have got him to do some. That was one of the things that I was always super impressed with by him. And I wanted to, I didn't get a chance to ask him because it kind of went a different way, but I wanted to ask him if he ever used that skill to kind of mock the other wrestlers.
I think he has. So really, Ricky is the reason I got into a lot of the local stuff here in the Twin Cities is because knowing him from stand up, knowing that he did improv and did a lot of that, getting a lot of that instruction as well. And then eventually finding his way over to the academy, to, train under Eric and Ken Anderson and, Davari, not Arya, but Sean Davari. Yep. And Molly Holly and all that sort of stuff. So he's a great dude. I know some people get a little bit tense when it's talking about or talking to a reverend, but he's a great guy. I appreciate him coming on. And yeah, I mean, seriously, if you guys can hear his impressions, he's very, very good. I think there's a top 3 when it comes to Jesse Ventura impressions, and JR over there is one of them. I think it's JR, Ricky, and apparently Karrion Kross can do a heck of a Jesse Ventura.
No kidding.
I saw it. Chris Van Vliet, he posted it on Instagram, and I saw it one time, and it was very impressive. So
wow, crazy.
I put you guys in the top 3. One, because you and Ricky live here, so you get the nod above a lot of people. And if I could do a Jesse Ventura, I probably shouldn't.
Well, whatever. I used to, I don't know if I ever told you this. I used to do, when he was the governor still, I used to do Malice. How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Oh, yeah.
When he was still the governor, I used to do radio call outs. I had a buddy of mine, because I was still in radio. And one of my buddies that was a morning guy put my name up on what they called Bitboard back in the day. And people would send me an email and say, hey, we want to talk to Jesse Ventura. And, one of my favorite ones was talking to somebody in New York. And they did a deal where it was a quiz and a test. And I got the 2 immediately right. But the last one we decided I would get wrong. And it was... what state do the Minnesota Vikings play in? And I said, Texas, because that was back when Red McCombs was talking about moving them.
That's true. Yeah, he had threatened about the fucking San Antonio, the Alamo Dome.
Yeah. So that was good.
Boy,
I want to say, and just while Malice is here, because we know he's not here all the time. Yes, hello. Boy, what a big signing and a big name for Cedar Rapids for that show, huh?
What?
Mance? Yeah, didn't you see that?
No. What the fuck?
Oh my God!
I've been literally. I'm sorry, because Ricky's gone, so I can swear now, everybody. So be prepared, because I have an hour built up in front of me. What the fuck? I've been literally just messaging fucking Luke about next week. By the way, Luke Raven, the other promoter of Madhouse Wrestling outside of Malice, will be with us again next week, everybody. So we look forward to having him on the 18th. But what the fuck?
Yeah.
God damn it. And I have so many fucking windows open right now. I can't fucking find it.
I know. I'm looking for it too. It's Mance Warner, I believe.
Oh, he's no, I was kidding. He's good. I'm such a dick when it comes to like, oh, that guy. Fuck it.
I know you are. You're sort of a snob in a way.
You know, I'm happy about that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of glad that I perturb you in that manner.
I'm just going through here. I gotta find where it is. Where is it?
It's probably not.
I got so much. Here we go. Ooh, yes.
See, by the way, just so everybody is aware, this is why we need a third host, because Ace is our guy.
While people are looking shit up.
Well, and also Ace is the guy who gets this information beforehand. This is what sucks. Is that a lot of times he gets the information on Mouse or Luke or whatever because he works as the ring announcer for Madhouse, which is again why we like them so much, because Ace is a great dude. He's not here, so I will say that he's a great dude. He's a great ring announcer, by the way, too. Bar none, one of my top 2 favorites as far as ring announcer. It's him and John Maddening, who we hope to have on again. I think maybe in November. I'm not quite sure as far as his scheduling or what's going on. But Madhouse Wrestling again next Saturday, the 22nd is what we're looking at. I will hope to be there, and that is Malice's Little Shop of Horrors at the Thunderdome in Newton, Iowa. And if Ace doesn't go up there immediately and says, "Welcome to the Thunderdome, motherfucker," I'm going to be very pissed. Very, very pissed.
Lab Glass will take care of you. Yes, the guy that went against Moxley in AEW. That is it. I mean, I'm excited to see him. I unfortunately I won't get to go to the one in Cedar Rapids because I got booked for something.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I don't know how. I can't remember where the hell it is. Either that or I don't remember. My brain just is fried, dude. But I am excited to go to the Little Shop of Horrors, little Thunderdome, because on the 21st of October. I will no longer have. I will no longer working for the company I'm working for.
Oh, that's right. You come to a close next week, don't you?
Yes, sir, I do. And so I'm not fried. Yeah, I am fried. It's been an odd week. But at any rate, that's exciting. That's going to be exciting. Clay Cooper is the champion. He's going to be in his hometown defending. Just huge. I can't wait to talk about it with Luke next week.
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously we love Mouse and stuff like that too, but unfortunately his schedule does not always allow him to be here on Tuesday nights. So it's nice to have that aspect in Luke to help us get over the hump, because he told me that he's looking forward to announcing something next week. So there you go, everybody. That's another reason to tune in next week with us. Not only will Ace be back, but also Luke Raven will be here. And apparently there's another special announcement for next Saturday, the 22nd. So a week out, I should say, not next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but the Saturday after, the 22nd of October.
22nd.
Mouse's Little Shop of Horrors there in Newton, Iowa. Looking forward to being in a different town, by the way, too, because I missed the last show in whatever podunk town it is in Iowa.
Knoxville,
that's it. Knoxville. It's real small. I mean, you can't blame me for forgetting what town it was, because they have 4 people and they all work at the Hardee's. Apparently
4 people.
They work at Hardee's, Perkins, 2 hotels which they can't afford, and then also the Walmart. So they're hardworking people in Knoxville. I'm not going to say anything otherwise, because they are good people there. But they are hardworking because they all work 4 different jobs. They literally have a child and they're born into the fucking business of working at a Hardee's, Walmart.
That's not
Perkins.
true. Some of them probably work at the Walmart. You went to the Walmart.
I did go to the Walmart. The show's passed.
A dollar store. Somebody has to work there.
Yeah. The show is passed, but the very first Madhouse show, God, my fucking ribs still hurt from fucking laughing so hard. and you see how many swear words are coming out now that Ricky's not here?
Absolutely. See,
you put a reverend in front of me, man. Our pastor.
I know you can watch it when you need to.
I know, man, but that's because I'm still trying to get to heaven somehow. I don't know how, but it's gonna. I mean,
just between you and me, I don't think he's the guy.
well, to be real honest with you and stuff like that too, like if there's anything that's top shelf, it's probably heaven, right? Like I feel like heaven is like the top of the top shelf, so I need to get there. That's a weird thing to say here on Twitch
It really
and
is.
YouTube Live, but
yeah,
where the yeah, they needed steel chairs for the first Madhouse show, and so we were tasked with it. If people don't know, if people don't understand, there's always a backstage, and Ace, myself, and even his nephew Devin were privy to that backstage of having to run to Walmart last minute to get steel chairs. So your boy has put steel chairs on his credit card.
There you go.
for
wrestling. For wrestling.
I'm in this, baby. It's in my blood and my bank account. It's in me.
It's one thing if you bought steel chairs because you had a card table and you needed to put some around, but you bought steel chairs specifically for wrestling.
You know what the weirdest part is? We walked in that Walmart.
Shelf.
Yeah, thank you. That's the first thing. That's the first time I think you've ever acknowledged me as top shelf. So I
acknowledge you all the time.
Well, it's the first time I remember, anyways.
I say, can't we get that shit off the top shelf?
Anyhow, you have no idea when you go to a Walmart, and I assume it's probably the same thing with a Target, and you have to find an associate to be like, hey, where are your steel chairs? Because 9 out of 10 of them will look at you like, why do you need them? And they didn't ask me that question. They just told me what aisle it was. And I went and found them because I'm pretty sure if that question had been asked, it'd be like, you ever heard of professional wrestling? It's going down. Come up to the show, Knoxville, Iowa. Let's do this.
Give us a discount and you come see the show.
Yeah. I'll let you in for free. God. Tell me your name. I have no control.
Unbelievable. So let's talk a little bit. We touched a little bit about Extreme Rules with the Rev. But so let's talk about it. I mean, I think you watched it, yeah?
I did, yes.
I watched it the same reason everybody else watched it, because we all knew that Bray was coming back. And I will say that overall, I mean, it was not a bad premium live event. There were some things that I'm just there's some things I still just don't quite get about what WWE does. Like I just don't get it. Hey, there's JJ. I gotta bring it up here. Where is it? Vern's chair shot on Brock's Legendary. It was the toughest. It was the toughest. By the way,
thank you for the bits too as well. Also to Lab Glass for the 100 bits as well.
Absolutely,
you guys are fantastic.
But I will say that the leaving Bray's reintroduction, if you will, to the end was pretty much expected. I liked the way that they did it after the logo, though. I thought it was a bit hokey for the announcers to say, are we still on the air? Because come on, God damn it. But
yeah, especially those two.
You know what? You absolutely are.
Well, especially with, I mean, so in my opinion, almost a bit anticlimactic because he didn't break up a match. You see the characters and you even see the Fiend referenced.
Mm-hmm.
They show the clip on the video of as far as the new mask. And thankfully he took off the mask as he came out. And spoiler alert, by the way, if anybody hasn't, I don't know, if you're watching this show, I assumed you watched Extreme Rules on Saturday or watch a replay by now. Come on. Super cool. But I thought it could have been better. You know, like it kind of still left me a little bit disappointed in the end result. But that's just me.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think there's a lot more behind it. And my understanding is that WWE let him go. And I will say this. For the most part, I am on board with what Bray Wyatt does. There are some things that he does that, in my opinion, just don't hit. One of those things was that match that he had at WrestleMania with Cena that was not really a match. It was that thing. And it was, while it was interesting, I wasn't like as blown away by it as a lot of people were. I mean, it was cool. It was a great concept, but it wasn't all that a lot of people thought. For me, Lab Glass says that, yeah, they need to get a story going for him. And I will say this, in my opinion, they absolutely shit the bed with him on Monday. Because, we're just going to show the exact same thing that was on Extreme Rules?
Yes.
What the why?
Yes.
And this to me is a problem, because you can't do that. You have to, as Lab Glass says, you have this big and beautiful reintroduction, re-debut, and then you're gonna make us sit on it. And the only thing we get that's new is a thing that with his whatever the hell it was, who are you, what are you, and he's gonna be on SmackDown. Well, are they going to just show the video again? I mean, I understand what they're doing. They're trying to get people to get real hyped up on it and watch. My understanding was that the ticket sales for that Monday Night Raw increased immensely after Extreme Rules, because people wanted to see it. Weighing their options, who to film? Yeah, I agree. 3 guys that he literally. Here's the thing, Rowdy. Bray Wyatt, at this point, can feud with absolutely anyone.
Yes.
He can step in anywhere. I mean, and this is the thing when I watch, I will say that, like last night on Raw, when the Good Brothers came back with AJ Styles, I like that. That was awesome. But having said that, if they hadn't, Bray could just come right in there and eat the shit out of the Judgment Day and just pull him right in under his wing. I don't think they're going to do that. I mean, there's the talk about the Wyatt Six, and every one of those characters is supposedly going to be a wrestler, right? Yeah, Drew. I don't know, man. So here's the thing. Here's why I don't want him to be with Seth Rollins. Because the last time he worked with Seth Rollins as the Fiend, that was the start of the downfall. And even though Vince isn't there, that's going to leave a bad taste in my mouth. Okay.
Yes.
Out
of all those names, by the way, Lab Glass, and not to interrupt you, JR, the only one of those ones that I would truly be interested in is probably Braun Strowman. Riddle doesn't work because the character is supposed to be too aloof to worry about the supernatural, if you will, right? Like he might if he gets 420, bro. But like, I don't think he cares enough about outside stories. Riddle, I think, is more focused on like what can happen in that ring, and that's his level. That's fine. That works for a lot of different people and a lot of different promotions. But I genuinely believe, like Rollins, yes, as you mentioned, bad taste in mouth. One, because we have that red fucking Hell in the Cell. Yeah. Terrible, fucking awful. AJ Styles, I don't think wants to do this because, again, as you mentioned, Good Brothers showed up last night. It's probably more geared towards AJ and the Good Brothers taking on the Judgment Day, which is fucking cool. Drew is not in that range because he will have to be going after the title eventually. And I think Bray is setting up to be, probably upper mid card. Challenges for a title here and there, but mostly like kind of keeps the upper mid card in order.
I kind of feel like
Cross would be a good
Cross would be good, but I think they're too. Honestly, I think their characters are too similar in that they wouldn't, they wouldn't feud. And I honestly, I don't think Strowman will be involved. He might, but I don't see that because as you recall, that swamp match that they had was not the greatest either. And this is what I'm talking about with liking most of the stuff that Bray does, but there's some stuff that just doesn't hit. And then when you have something like that doesn't, like I could not see him doing anything with Randy Orton again if Randy comes back.
No.
Because that whole thing was with the burning and it's like, yeah, forget it. I don't want to remember that. And that's one of the things, when it's funny because we talk about WWE not wanting to remember stuff. So if we just erase it, it's not there. But when we talk about details, right? These are details. It's like, if I remember this, because we all remember these things, it's like, I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to believe it. And it's just sort of ridiculous. I honestly, it's so difficult. Yeah. Maximum male models. Here's the thing. He can just step in, and do about anything he wants. I always thought that when they initially started with him as the Fiend, when he was just laying people out right and left, in the back, wherever it was, and nobody could touch him, that, in my mind, was when they were building him to be the successor to The Undertaker.
Yes.
And then they fucked it up. And I don't know if they can come back and redo that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with all of that?
Well, one other thing I want to kind of bring up is that if they are going to, and I totally agree with Labglass. I think that was probably my favorite Braves because they didn't overthink it, right?
Yeah.
I think some of the Fiend shit they overthought, and that's why the Fiend kind of failed. That's why they released him. But go ahead.
So my impression on it though, Tom, is this: it wasn't that. It was that Bray had to give in to some of what Vince wanted to do. I don't believe that some of that stuff is what Bray wanted to do. At least that's what I'd like to believe. I don't believe he wanted to have it all under red lights because Vince doesn't pay attention to didn't pay attention to social media. Bray does. And he knew people thought it sucked.
Right.
Yet he still had to do it because that's good shit. So I'm excited to see where they go with it. I'm excited to see if you see all the hints with Liv Morgan tapping out but yet seemingly smiling. I mean, hopefully, you know what? I would be happy for her if she did become Sister Abigail. Because let's be honest, and we talked about this a lot of times, particularly with underdog champions. The whole reason people are behind them and they catch fire is because they are underdogs, and the chase is the thing.
Yes.
But the minute they get that title and they have no reason to hold it. They have nothing that holds our attention
right
after they gain the title, and they become stagnant. And I think, to me, that's what happened with Liv Morgan. There's nothing interesting about her once she gets the title.
Well, and you're right. I think even Cage Side Seats mentioned, that Liv losing the title is probably a good thing because her as champ kind of really exposed her, especially with like her mic skills. One thing I kind of want to bring up here, and this just popped in my head. So you mentioned maybe Liv will be Sister Abigail. We've obviously seen Alexa Bliss be something with the Fiend Bray Wyatt in the past. We've seen Julia Hart in House of Black. There's something to be said as far as and this is not to sound misogynistic or whatever, but the attractive blonde kind of becoming the goth chick, if you will, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's something about that, like, that just hits differently.
Ladies and gentlemen, Big Ace.
Boom.
Ace, welcome, brother. We're just giving a quick recap of what happened with Extreme Rules, Bray Wyatt, all that sort of stuff. So we'll give you a quick second as I finish my point here. To kind of
point. I'm kidding.
coming in with some fucking fire, and I'm supposed to be the fucking bad guy over here. Fuck you too, Ace. Welcome to the fucking program.
I want to hear your point. What is it?
I was literally just saying, like, so we mentioned, like, speculation has been that Liv Morgan, with her not tapping out, but then passing out with a smile on her face, or Ronda Rousey, that maybe she might be Sister Abigail. Also, Alexa Bliss has been part of the Fiend, Bray Wyatt stuff in the past. We see Julia Hart in AEW. There's something to be said about, like, an attractive blonde being goth in that way. And I'm not saying it's a good thing, bad thing, or whatever, but it's something that I think actually kind of makes you more interested in the product, because
you know what it is. Look at, like, the 80s and the 90s and shit. It was always the hot blonde cheerleader.
Exactly.
Look at the movie.
That's what I was going to say. It was literally like the attractive blonde was the stereotypical hot chick.
Hey, Tina.
And you never saw them go down to a level. But now you're seeing that in wrestling, where all of a sudden, like, the hot blonde is all of a sudden that goth chick. And it doesn't make her necessarily more attainable, but it does bring something to your product as, like, a different view of it. Like, that chick's into fucking wrestling. Like, she's cool with, like, this fucking shenanigans.
Like, does everybody remember when they found
out?
Like, I remember, like, finding out, like, Maria Menounos is a wrestling fan, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
she's, like, super hot. Why is she? And and then you see these, like, these not stereotypical, like, was it the movie The Craft?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about, with, like, all girl witch, like, that's kind of where I think that all, like, that, Christina Ricci doing some darker roles, doing Wednesday Adams and growing up into, like, kind of a darker character and some other, like, those are turning points, but yeah, like, all 80s and 90s, it was always like the hot blonde.
Well, especially when you look at, like, something like with Baywatch, right? So you get, like, Pamela Anderson, Gina Lee Nolan, Brandy Roderick. You see all these there's obviously plenty of attractive brunettes on that show too, but, like, and redheads, but you see, like, a lot of these blondes into being, like, the stars of those seasons, episodes, whatever. And again, you're right. Like, in my mind, it kind of, like, helps to turn that narrative. And I'm not saying that wrestling's on the forefront of this shit, but, like, realistically, wrestling does this shit more times than not. Like, they are on the forefront of this shit. Like, if Sunny wasn't your girl in, like, the fucking 90s, do you see some of this shit other places? If Tori Wilson and Stacey Keibler weren't your girls in WCW, do you see some of this shit?
Wasn't Sunny, like, the most downloaded girl on the internet at one
woman
point?
In, like, 1998, man.
Like, that's super early. Like, her, and who was the other chick? Not wrestler, but just,
Sable.
Like,
well, Sable was up
not
there
wrestler, but, like, another
Julie Ireland or Kathy Ireland.
Kathy Ireland.
No, Cindy something.
Yeah.
No, she was not Crawford, but she was, like, the most downloaded woman.
I know you're talking about exactly.
And it was, like, a big deal. She did, like, reality shit afterwards, but hey, and you know what, though? Wouldn't take much if you're still a big Sunny fan to also probably be her lover at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you can bail her out of jail, you basically have an end.
Pay some of them lawyer fees. She'll give it up.
Who's got $30,000 that wants a freak who's on drugs?
Murderer. Oh,
you can have her.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. By the way, to all the, like, JJ Blablass or whoever is, like, people who come over here from, like, Steel Toe, you guys are interested this coming Saturday, I will be up at the Silly Beaver Comedy Room, or at Beaver Island Brewing in St. Cloud.
You're a silly beaver, Tom.
I am. I'm actually technically hosting the show, so it's literally an extra $10, which is not great. And also, I mean, 0 extra time. So there you go.
Yeah.
Is it the first time you've been up there?
It is. Yeah, Jono can't make it this week, so I'm apparently filling in host. It was going to be between me and Brandon Riddle, which Brandon's a very fine host, but also probably not great for that market, if you will.
Yeah.
He's got the wrong complexion, if you will, just to
not
not
top
sound
shelf?
so. What's that?
He's not top shelf.
No, he's very top shelf. It's St. Cloud, and he has the wrong complexion for a host up there, if you will. And that's not named Adrian Washington. So there you go. I'm trying to be as PC as possible, not sound like you can't have a black guy host in St. Cloud.
Yeah, they're racist. That's what you're saying.
Kind of.
St. Cloud, send all your feedback to Top Shelf Thomas.
Yeah. The email is top shelf go fuck yourself at gofuckyourself.com.
Or you can just go to Beaver Island Brewing and throw shit at him on the
Please
stage.
do, actually. Honestly, the more people who come, the more I get paid. So fucking everybody show up. I don't give a fuck. Throw everything. I mean, I don't give two shits.
How far did you guys get on Extreme Rules then? The whole show? Did I miss that already?
We didn't really. So here's the thing. I mean, we didn't go through match by match,
But did you talk about Bray?
Yeah, because that's the
Okay.
reason that everybody really watched it, right?
And it was. But to tell you the truth, like, they weren't horrible matches.
No, not at all. It was
Like
a,
the
it
actual
was a good show.
Show was pretty good. Like, it gave me hope again for WWE.
And I'll be honest with you, Raw was good as well. I watched.
I actually kept my interest all 3 hours this week.
And here's the thing: I watched expecting to see Bray Wyatt. I was disappointed that, and when we talked about this, that they sort of shit the bed on not having him do anything other than show his entrance again.
No, they did do. There was a. Did you guys miss it? There was a cut.
It was maybe 30 seconds. SmackDown. It was a promo that he's going to be on SmackDown, but are they going to just show the promo again? So now they're making me think, okay, you can drag me along a little, but you can't fucking.
Oh wait,
keep
he said
dragging
SmackDown on that? Oh, I didn't hear him say that.
Yeah.
I ended up taking. Apparently, I took a shower at the wrong time. It's because I thought like they would go to, like Rollins wins to all of a sudden like 4 hours of fucking commercials, and they came back within like 2 minutes of fucking after Rollins won to then show the fucking weird promo with Bray that I had to then go back to Hulu and watch.
So as soon as they first said when they were entering the show, they're like, and we'll show you again the return of Bray Wyatt. Like right when they said that, I was like, oh, he's not on Raw tonight. They're gonna slow this shit down now. Because you know what though, you can't even really get that mad because it's. I mean, if it was us doing this show, it's like, yeah, fucking let's make these people watch on Friday. You know what I mean? And sadly, I won't. Probably. Oh, yeah, I might. I don't know. I might actually this time for Bray.
I'm busy on Friday.
But like Fridays are, Fridays are generally a hard night to watch wrestling. Period.
It is.
Most.
But here's the thing. Unfortunately, unfortunately for them, it is much easier to go back and watch. I mean, it's great. I was excited because I had nothing else to do to see if I could watch it live and have something happen. But now that I know that they're not going to do that, I'm perfectly content to wait and go watch piecemeal. I can find it on Hulu and fast forward to it. I can find it on YouTube because they'll put up just that chunk on YouTube. I'm happy to do it that way.
I do feel like he's going to be on SmackDown. I do feel
he's
like
got to do something. But I just don't. We're just talking. We don't know what it is that he'll do. But he could step in with absolutely anybody at this point.
Well, and I think the other thing too is people are jumping the gun on saying he's already coming in leading a faction. Who's to say Bray doesn't just come in and be by himself? You know what I mean? Like,
and that's true. I think honestly, at this point, unless you just give him one person as Sister Abigail or whatever. There's no real reason to have him in a faction because we've clearly seen with the Fiend he can hold his own. You don't need people behind him or with him or whatever. You can have him be something different.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing too with that is you couldn't have Liv would be a great addition. She's in the family, right? But I mean, just for storyline's sake, it's like you can't have her be somebody now when it was like you put all that time into Bliss.
Well, but here's the thing, and we
super hard to fucking.
Let me.
That's a big one to try to act like we don't remember. That was a pretty big Mania moment.
But
Right.
here's the thing. There were a lot of mania moments he had that when we were talking about people that like Strowman and Orton and Cena, are like some of those are like a lot of people were just like losing their shit over the one with Cena, and I just was like, eh. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
cool, but it was like a TV show, not a match.
right. And so these are the kind of things, and the deal with Seth Rollins, and you and I were at that match where they basically fucked the Fiend. Because up to that point, like Tom was saying, he could come in and he was unbeatable, waylaying people in the back, etc. And then to have Seth Rollins sort of fuck him. And that was the start of the downturn for the Fiend. And to me, it's like I don't want to see him wrestle Rollins because it's a bad taste in my mouth. So I don't know. I think Goldberg killed him. That's right. That's right.
Oh,
I mean,
don't get me started about that fucking loss. That's Saudi Arabia for you, though, right there too. So
yeah,
that's
Goldberg going over on anybody is just a horrible decision.
Right.
The whole thing, though, for me is this. I believe the way that he came out, he looked like Bray from the Wyatt family. There have been numerous reports and Easter eggs, and we all know that he's super into doing that shit. I did not. There wasn't now on and I'm just get all scattered.
Ruddy, he always looks fat.
Yeah, when he used to be called the Eater of Worlds, I remember we were talking. I would call him the Eater of Donuts. You know, not that I'm a skinny guy, but he's the Eater of Donut. Anyway, there was a QR code on the back of one of the people backstage last night. I haven't checked to even see what it was. But apparently that has been so huge for them that it looks like they're going to continue to do that stuff.
Which is cool, but they'll do it too much. They'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they always this has always been the problem with WWE, finding something good and making it bad.
Yeah. Well, going back to what you were saying about Wyatt looking like the Wyatt family version, I don't think we're gonna get a same version. I think he's gonna basically combine the two going forward. Like I think we'll see a little bit of both. I guess there was a bunch of stuff. I mean, well, what's it? The Buzzard always wore the Hawaiian shirt like Bray did when he first had the Wyatt family. I guess the mask underneath the Sister Abigail thing was the mask that Luke Harper wore when he came out with the Wyatt family at one time.
Well, not when he came out, when he came home with the Bludgeon Brothers.
Was that what it was?
Yep. Okay. And then also the lighting
behind
the
him
door.
Was, and nod to him as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll say this: if they are going to make a Wyatt family, depending on what Malachi or Aleister Black does, that would be kind of interesting to me. And kind of throw it out there.
Okay, Wyatt 6 was the QR code.
Yeah. But also another one would be maybe a Dexter Loomis. And I only say that because he's kind of like that fucking creepy dude anyways.
Yeah,
so
already. Dude, he's...
But I think, so here's the thing. So
I'm just throwing out names.
Yeah, Dan, you get this from Dan Sinton Messenger because his chat tab isn't working again. He says, listen to your current convo. All the characters introduced in the arena will be in his stable, bringing all the Funhouse characters to life. And that's the part that I think is going to happen.
That's awesome, I actually think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I do too. And they have that's I think why they bring up Liv Morgan as Sister Abigail versus Bliss. Because that whole thing just got weird, right? I think Gacy from NXT has been brought up as Husky Harris or Huskus the Pig. And there's another guy that has been brought up as the Buzzard because it's very similar to what he's doing and wearing now. So I think that would be awesome. And thanks for sending that message, Dan, too. I don't know what's going on with why your chat doesn't work. Kick that.
I did enjoy though that because here's the deal. I kind of like after that match, because that was after the what did they call it? The fight? What the
Fight
Fight
pit.
pit.
fight pit? The fight pit. Which, by the way, Daniel Cormier looks low and fat as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Just throwing that out there, DC.
Because I don't think he's planning on fighting any ever
Well,
again.
no, I know,
But-
but like,
Thanks, JJ.
You know what I
Take care.
mean?
Have a good night, man.
Oh, and they throws
Appreciate
it. What? 300 bits our way. All right, thanks,
Nice.
JJ.
JJ.
What a nice man.
If anybody wants to
Vern
start a
Gagne
hype
would
train,
be
man, like
proud.
we only need 2 more 100 bits or like subs to get a hype train going. Just
Vern Gagne
throwing
would
out
be
there.
so proud.
But yeah, I don't know. I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
After the
Been a
fight
busy-
pit, I'm going to
Been
try
a
to
busy
bring
day
it.
night. Oh, after the fight pit, yeah. I rather enjoyed the fact because I kind of was like sitting there like, is there one more match or like is what's going on? Like, because I couldn't remember, and then all of a sudden that's when like they're like, thank you for joining us. I was like, oh, well, that doesn't see, and then that's when it like cut in,
Yeah.
and I liked it.
Yeah.
Like I think it was a good way, and I like the song and showing the characters, and I like the new mask he's wearing. I think it's kind of creepy, but like
Yep.
kind of cool. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where this is gonna all head to.
It's
Because I think it's like him, I think Kevin Owens, I think Cody Rhodes. I think those are 3 guys that like have like a really big year or 2 coming their way.
yeah. And Bo Dallas it's rumored that Bo is going to be coming back and joining Bray.
Which is kind of funny because there's been no rumors of him being signed because he did get let go initially.
Yeah. Well,
So they would have to resign him.
Yep. But it might be, who knows? It's his brother. That might be one of the conditions on him coming back.
Well, I like the name of people you brought up as far as who's gonna kind of have a good couple years.
I do. I think they're going to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, too. This kind of got lost in the shuffle because I think Extreme Rules was okay as far as like matches. I everything was good.
Yeah, like
but,
it
like,
was. It wasn't
pay-per-view.
amazing, but it was a good.
Yeah, it
show.
didn't like
was
throw you over the top.
better than what they have been putting out as of recent.
Yeah, like the strap match was cool. I think here's one of my things. Like, Extreme Rules is like really the top of my list as the second tier pay-per-views
Yeah, it's not
because
one of the big 4.
yeah, not big like the big 4. I still will tune into most of the time. Survivor Series kind of has sucked lately because they don't know. Like, just go back to the fucking original. But whatever.
I do like War Games though. Like I
War
love
Games
War
is cool.
Games, so
like,
that's
yeah,
gonna
if they
be
do that
dope.
with like, yeah, if they do that with Survivor Series, I'm cool with it. But Extreme Rules only because some of the matches you just don't know. Like a Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross with a strap match. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that one. But I think because of the excitement about last night, and this is something like in our group chat, I literally I marked out about the fact that Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are back in WWE because Carl Anderson is still the open weight or the never open weight champion, which shit, bring the fucking title with you, man. Like, I don't know what the working relationship is there.
I'm sure they were like, don't bring the title.
Yeah.
From what I read too, he's about to tie up all his obligations with them and be done with them.
I think so. It sounds like when he faces Hakuleo, that's going to be the end of their Bullet Club run again, and they're going to be over in WWE. But if it's not, shit, dude, like that is fucking huge.
Well, and Triple H has always said if there's money to be made and it makes sense and it's going to be good for everyone, I'm open to it.
And this is why too. Like I threw out like I wasn't totally convinced about the fact that Billy Gunn was not going to show up last night for the DX reunion.
And they didn't shit on him though.
They
no
didn't.
cheap shot. There could have been, but he didn't.
There was one comment from one of the I don't know if it was
Corey Graves.
Yeah, but I don't count. I don't count that though. I'm talking about the guys in the ring.
Right.
But like when Road Dogg did his whole thing, and then he let the fans say, "Badass Billy Gunn." That's fucking way better than what we all got during the fucking Hall of Fame induction with the pissant stupid shit. Like, I think Triple H understands if you fucking work together, if every fucking fan gets invested from WWE to AEW to MLW, Ring of Honor, Impact, if everybody fucking fan is invested into every fucking night of wrestling, holy shit, the whole industry wins because we all get every fucking bit of it. If you want to go fucking find it, you can find it on YouTube. Like fucking New Japan has like Roku shit out there. Like you can find it wherever the fuck you want. Fucking buy fight packs and or fight pass or whatever. Like buy it all.
IWTV.
Yeah, like get Peacock. Like do whatever. Like people don't understand.
IWTV.
The more you work together, the more we're going to be fucking crazy invested in this shit because I mean, fuck. I mean, look at Hall of Fame weekend. We saw Colt. We saw Mike Bennett down there. And Scorpio, 2 Colt Scorpio. Those are 3 huge fucking names at Impact Pro Wrestling in Waterloo, Iowa. If I saw those 3 guys promoted on a show with even like NWA, I'd probably fucking turn into that shit. You know, like there's fucking rhyme and reason behind this shit, man. Like if you give us the fucking draws, we're gonna fucking be there. And if you tell me that all of a sudden like Wardlow is gonna be on MLW and it's gonna be specifically on their Vice show on Saturday mornings, I'm gonna for fucking sure watch that fucking show Saturday morning to see why the fuck Wardlow is gonna be there.
I want it. If they do it, it needs to be a one-off once a year.
Yeah, sure.
And only
Why
like
not?
a 2-month period of where they may cross shows. Because
Sure.
my thing is, it's not that I don't want them to work together, but if it was repeatedly and like just happens all the time, dude, then it's gonna be like, well, wait, who's holding what title? Where is he at tonight? Like, then it just I mean, we already can't watch everything that's on all week now, anyways, because there's too much shit going on. So, like, if I have to also now try to keep track of who's hopping to what this week and who's hopping back, it's that's too much. But a one-off every year that's bigger than Mania, where you bring all the promotions together, it'd be great. And even if that doesn't happen, and we just see New Japan start working again with WWE. Like Forbidden Door was cool, but let's just be honest, Triple H is going to know what to do with those guys much more than Tony Khan. It's going to come off looking better.
Right.
I hate to say it, but I actually kind of enjoyed Extreme Rules more than I did All Out. I think All Out really fell flat on its face this year.
I agree.
The aftermath of All Out was much better than the fucking
pay-per-view.
Yeah. Because no one talks about the pay-per-view. No one gives two shits
to talk about other than
MJF. Exactly. And you're not wrong to feel that way. 100% you're not wrong to feel that way because this was a better pay-per-view overall than All Out.
So
we didn't see as many title changes as we probably should have, but who cares?
But we always did talk about this, though, that at some point there's going to be a point where he has to just do his big show, and there's not going to be any huge surprises. There's not going to be some big debut because at certain point that's going to slow down.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. Other than MJF at All Out, last night's Raw was better than All Out in my mind.
Well, and there's just a lot that needs to get, obviously worked out. I mean, obviously, with all that amazing talent AEW has in that back room, amazing roster of talent. It's huge.
And
Tony Khan has some really great ideas, but I think it's kind of being shown now that he can't hang. He needs some help. And someone needs to step in there and be that help and kind of be like, yo, man, let me show you how this is actually done. Because this isn't, I mean, dude, we saw it when we were there, and I've seen things since that where it's like, what's up with this guy, man? Like, why did we see him 5 times come out on stage? This guy claimed he didn't want to be an on-camera character when he launched this company, and now we see him more than half the roster. He's on every media scrum. He's in doing all the press. Tony is definitely lost in between being a business owner of a wrestling company and still being that huge wrestling fan.
Right.
And now it's
right.
It's,
so we
in essence, it's almost the opposite of Vince Russo with WCW.
Yeah.
Russo literally was trying to kill the thing. I mean, but Tony is trying to not only be everybody's pal, but and that's the problem. He's trying to be everybody's pal, which is almost as bad as putting just ridiculous shit up there.
Well, so I gotta say this because I don't know if it came through on not this week's but last week's Raw, where Seth Rollins and Riddle were able to fight each other after Raw, right?
Yeah, it's the one we were at.
Yes. So because of Jack Tunney Jr.
Yes,
signing an executive order, and I thought to myself, this would be the perfect fucking thing that Tony Khan needs. You don't need to be on air. Bring in a president, or head of talent relations. Like, literally, make CD your fucking dude to handle this shit.
I mean,
like,
he is for backstage, man. Put him on the camera.
Exactly. Like, CD's a dude. He can talk. He can work. Like, whatever you fucking need him for. Like, CD can be your dudes. Christopher Daniels, by the way, anybody who's not in the know, which you're all marks. Fuck it. But like, to hear Jack Tunney Jr. was the one who signed off on this, I lost my shit in that arena. Like, I was like,
we definitely popped for the Jack Tunney Jr.
Yeah, I give fucking like Ace like an arm squeeze. I'm like, Jack Tunney Jr., he's a real fucking thing. He may not be a real fucking thing. Who gives a shit, man? Like, who?
It's great to hear that line, though.
Yeah, dude. Like, that's so
you're right.
School.
And you're right. Have one solid authority on-screen figure. But I mean, but it will help the show. But in all reality, it's like you need a veteran, which is amazing. The veterans he's had there. And how have none of them been like, bro, like, let us help you, because this isn't, you can't just let people do whatever they want. And I don't know, man, that was a really, to me, really bad look when you send Andrade home and not Sammy. And I get it. He went after Sammy, and I love Sammy Guevara. And I know a lot of people are like, he's horrible backstage and all that. The kid had nothing but respect when I met him. Very polite. Like, I like that kid. And, but as an authority figure, if you have two employees fighting, doesn't matter who started it, but they were in a physical altercation and both contribute at some point to it, both need to go home. Maybe different afterward. Right. There's a penalty for fighting, penalty for instigating. So that was a bad look because, again, what did everybody do online? Oh, yeah, well, he's best friends with Sammy. He was at Sammy and Ty's wedding, and now he looks even worse and even looks like a bigger fool. And it's like, dude, this guy needs to get his shit together.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, as far as, like, if you start a fight, you're gone, right? Like, I was a bouncer for several years, and there was a couple people who worked at the bar.
Roadhouse.
Fuck you. You know how I feel about Roadhouse, and you still brought it up. I fucking hate you, Ace.
Roadhouse.
I wish you never would have came into the show tonight.
Tommy.
Yeah.
How many throats have you ripped out?
0, because that's not a real fucking thing. Anyhow, there was several nights where a guy it was always a guy. I don't need to fucking gender pronoun this bullshit. It was a guy, one or two guys who worked at the fucking bar would start shit or say shit to either one of their coworkers because they got fucking too drunk, or they start shit with a patron. Y'all gone. I don't give a fuck. You work here, you're gone too. I don't give a fuck. You don't get to stay because you started the shit or you fucking were part of it. Like, you should know better. If somebody comes up to you and starts talking shit to you at a bar and you don't go fucking talk to the bouncer, you're both going home. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's one thing I've always known before I even worked in the business. If you start shit, you're gone. If you end shit, you're gone. Unless it's me who's end shit and I'm a bouncer, then I'm not going home. I got to fucking now deal with fucking private police and shit like that. But, like, the reality is that if you are in a fight, you're both going home. So Andrade should have been going home. Sammy should have gone home.
Yeah, and this has nothing to do with
Kingston.
Yeah, and this again, it has nothing to do with whose fault it was, who started it, it has to do with if you want to be the boss, and these guys who are top athletes. Let's just say, I mean, let's be honest, they're superior athletes. They
Yep.
throw their bodies on the line every night. Like, they have a threshold for pain none of us know. Like, you have to still rein these freaking guys in, though. You know for sure this shit would have never flew with Bischoff or McMahon backstage. Bischoff maybe towards the end.
Yeah.
But I mean, for a while there, he still tried to keep it not so crazy. But
And
I
I
mean,
think-
like, this is just, you know, the thing that's hilarious, and I've seen other people saying, it's like, you knew this was happening. You knew they were going to come face to face. And all you did was just tell them no fighting.
Yeah.
You didn't go through the trouble to just keep these two guys separated in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's
I-
no it's insane.
I think one of the other things too about the whole scenario
Oh, Tina, you're the
is
best.
that, yeah, thanks, Tina. Appreciate that. I think one of the things is in the whole scenario why Sammy stayed is because I think Jericho was advocating for him, and Andrade really has nobody to advocate for him, and he really didn't. I don't think Andrade gave a shit whether he stayed or went anyway.
Well, and the whole thing is he supposedly did this because he was trying to get fired right now.
Oh.
So that's what they're saying, which Khan, I guess, has already said he won't fire him. He'll pay him to sit at home for a year or two before he fires him. So, and why not? You're doing that for another guy. So let's just tank your company by paying these guys to sit at home and do shit.
Jesus.
Yeah, see, he doesn't understand, like-
WCW.
Now, see, yeah, Tony Khan does not understand, like, your money is not wrapped up in only AEW. Like, you are not Ted Turner with 1,000 other enterprises. You have a lot of other fucking flexible money that you need to spend that money on. You have Fulham in the English Premier League that needs to get fucking their players paid. You have the Jacksonville Jaguars and their players need to get fucking paid. You do not have exorbitant amounts of money. I know your dad's a billionaire and you are part of his family, obviously, but the reality is you are not the guy to be throwing around these fucking guaranteed contracts to then have guys sit at fucking home. And if you knew how to use Andrade, he should not be your fucking middle. He should be closer to your fucking top.
And that seems to be
Because-
the big problem with AEW.
Yeah, the guy is literally a CMLL legend. Literally, if it was not for him, Tetsuya Naito would not be a fucking hit in New Japan.
Look at this. AEW is WCW 2.0. That's how you know it's not
Quite a
going
bit.
well.
Quite
when
a bit.
When they're getting compared to WCW now, where 2 years ago they're the best fucking thing around.
Yes.
What happened, Tony?
Well, and so that was the thing. I was a WCW fan till it was done.
Mhm.
And I saw that last year and a half, 2 years, almost 3 full years of the end. This is so very close to like that start of that fucking end period to WCW where like they weren't winning shit. But you don't have anybody going up against you right now. So like you can still survive. However, you need to fucking be smarter about where you're fucking spending your money because that was weird. Where you're spending your money because of the fact like there's not necessarily guys of value coming from WWE or other places that you should be fucking investing in. You know, and JR has Dark behind him and shit like that. We saw Dalton Castle and the boys on Dark or Dark Elevation or whatever the fuck it is.
How has he not put Dalton
Bullshit.
Castle on Dynamite yet?
Oh,
Ridiculous.
the dude's a fucking major fucking player.
Mhm.
Everybody fucking knows Dalton Castle and the boys. Get him on Dynamite. Get him on fucking Rampage. If you're going to do all this other shit with all your fucking other ROH titles on your AEW programming and you don't have the trios there, you're fucking out of your fucking mind. How do you not even have a combination fucking tournament at this point, man, between like the Death Triangle and Dalton Castle and the boys? Like, it doesn't make sense to have two trios titles in the same basic company.
No, and and it's the worst timing for him to kind of fall apart like this because now Triple H is back and shit is full steam ahead over there.
Yeah, and Impact, like if people aren't paying attention to Impact right now, they are genuinely fucking killing it. Like they brought back Dango for Bound for Glory,
Mhm.
and he fucking killed it against Brian Myers, man. Like, and Brian Myers is your what, not an internet champion, but like social media or cyber champion. Like they actually have people invested in what's happening. Like, I know they have lower audiences and shit. It's the same thing that's like people showing up for like NJPW Strong. But as I found out last night, apparently the last NJPW Strong taping had about between Carl Anderson and Jay White versus Wheeler Yuta and Homicide. Holy shit, dude. Are you kidding me? This is a guy who just fucking appeared on WWE, and now I get to see like the opening part of this fucking bout.
Mm-hmm.
I might just go ahead and buy NJPW World now because I want to see that fucking match. And if Tony Khan does not understand, like, dude, you got to keep your fucking head with you and get it together. Like, this is fucking crazy.
One last thing, you guys, before we bail out of here, because we're at 2 hours. Word is that John Moxley has signed a new 5-year contract, and there are rumors that Renee may be coming over. What do you think of that?
Great.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, to be honest, and I love Renee. You guys know this. I'm a Renee mark, but like, I feel she's like almost too big for wrestling at this point. She's got her own show with the Cincinnati Bengals now that just launched. Like, this girl, you know, she could walk into like an ESPN right now and just be like, "Do you guys want to hire me?" And they would.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how good she is. So,
Here.
yeah, she'll do AEW. See, my thing is, I see what's happening in AEW right now, and I hear these stories of what's happening. And we saw it at the Minneapolis show. We saw Tony Khan come out 4 times that night and be like, "Hey, man, is this guy like all coked up or what the shit? Because like this dude don't even seem normal right now." You know what I mean? And again, yeah, that's just, I'm putting that out there. I'm not saying he is, but
I am. I'll fucking say it.
Definitely it came off that way. I don't know. We weren't with you that night, JR, because you were down by the ring. So I don't know what you guys thought, but like that was the first thing Tommy and I said. It was like, what is this dude's deal? You know, so like I would like to see her have to deal with that bullshit. But like as long as it's fine, cool. Yeah, I'll watch whatever she does. That's awesome.
My thought is, what would they have her do? What can they carve out for her to do that would be meaningful with this kind of hodgepodge of shit? You know, Tom?
I believe this. If she signs and she starts working with AEW, it is the end of JR. It is the end of Ricky Starks and Chris Jericho being on the commentary table.
I don't think she wants commentary. She hated commentary.
Well, she hated commentary in WWE. So but
she's an interviewer. She's not play by play.
No, I understand that. But also, if you give her the allowance and the time, I think she would have a better rapport with who's there with Excalibur and Tony Schiavone than she ever had with whoever the fuck she was working with. With WWE.
I think, and you're 100% right, but she doesn't want to do that. They're gonna just give her her own interview show. I mean, that's that. She's gonna get her own segment. Like that's what.
Well, so they already have like the short run.
But
YouTube
you can replace any of those hosts of those shows right now. None of them are as good as her. So like you can replace them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like right now they have a short run.
What's his name? What's that guy's
RJ
name?
City.
RJ City.
RJ
that's what I was gonna say. Is like the Hey EW show is. I think it's funny with RJ City. I don't know if Renee would be able to do that stuff, which is whatever. But like that's their interview show right now, which is it's cute. It's fine.
Gold. Watch it when it was the JBL and Cole show, which then turned into the JBL and Renee show.
True.
Because that shit was good.
Yes.
It was for a YouTube WWE show. It was good. And the fact that she started as like the third wheel on the JBL and Cole show to eventually just replaced Michael Cole by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just showed how good she is and how like much talent and different range she has because she did a bunch of different shit on that show. So, but yeah, it'd be cool to just see her back in wrestling on TV again. But and she's super close with like Paige and a bunch of other people who are over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she does. She has one with a MMA chick, right?
Yep, Misha Tate, I think.
Is it Misha Tate? Damn.
I think so.
And then she still has her podcast on I can't remember what it's called, Oral Sessions.
Yep.
So yeah, she's doing good. But I don't want to keep talking about it because it's time to go. So next week though, guys, I don't know what's gonna happen. All
Big
I know
doings.
is we are gonna preview the October 22nd Madhouse Malice's little show of horrors show going down in Newton, Iowa. But here's the deal: Luke hit me up today to be like, "Is this we're doing the preview for the next week, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the show is yours. So just let us know what you want to do." And he said
And
he'd
he
let Mal.
told me through Messenger because I was just talking to him like because I saw him in the chat briefly and stuff, and they got off because kids need to go to bed and stuff, and he's a responsible adult. But he did say that he has another big announcement for next week's show.
Well, and he told me he checked to see what Malice wants to do. So I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's coming. I don't know who may come through. I don't know what kind of crazy shit we're in store for next week. But we're going to preview this amazing show. Get your tickets for that. Did you guys see November 11th? Mance of Warner Madhouse Wrestling.
Yep. We already talked about it a little bit.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, get your tickets, guys. Big things happening for Madhouse this year. So
Fantastic. Make sure you guys come back. Tell everybody because it's going to be wild next week. It really is, and we're excited to be able to go down to that show as well on the 22nd at the Thunderdome. Tickets are still available, so you can get them. You probably ought to get them now.
You gotta get them now because I don't think by next week they're gonna be fucking available.
Front row
I
sold
don't
out
think so.
before a single match was announced, guys. Tina, we'll see you there.
Absolutely. And for the rest of you, we always appreciate your support so much. Thank you for the cheers. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the subs.
There it is.
Thank you for the time.
Real
Want to thank.
Real quick. Tommy showed the logo. Follow Madhouse on Facebook and Instagram and stuff because I do think there is going to be a pop-up live this weekend with possibly me, Luke, and Malice getting ready for the next big show. So, guys, if you're not following their social media, make sure you do so.
Very nice. Once again, we want to thank the Reverend Ricky Noren for joining us the first hour. That was fantastic. And remember, if you're in the Fargo area, he will be up there against Heavy Metal Lore at the Sanctuary Event Center for Time Bomb Pro Wrestling this Thursday. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week with Luke Raven and who knows who. Bye-bye.